Uh,
Okay, so
Okay.
in our last class we had seen what is RDS and what type of RDS we can use and create the DB instances in the AWS. So today we'll see the other options and other services and functionality of the RDS instances, that is they provide AWS provides multi availability tune for disaster recovery and read replica for faster accessing the database for better performance. So these are the two terms you have to remember it. For multi-availability zone, what it says, like what is multi-availability zone? Multi-AZ allows you to have an exact copy of your production database in another availability zone, and AWS handles the replication for you. So when your production database is written to, this write automatically be synchronized to the standby database. Okay, so you have to understand this carefully, because what it says, when you set off this multi availability zone, right, your another database will be in another availability zone. And what happens when the write happens to your primary database, the same time when replications will be automatically happen, and it will be written to the another database, which is your standby database for disaster recovery. Okay, that synchronization will be automatically happen by the AWS. You don't have to do anything. AWS will handle this. What happens in the event of planned DB maintenance, DB instance failure, or any availability zone failure, Amazon RDS will automatically fail over to the standby, so that database operations can resume quickly without any DBA interventions. Like normally, what happens if there is no availability, multi-availability setup in companies, no disaster setups, automatic disaster failover and failback setup? What they used to do, they used to do it manually. The administrator has to, the database administrator and the administrator has to do it manually. They have to, if the, and you will find there is a slowness, there is a downtime, not slowness, you will get a downtime. Like in this particular window, your database applications will not be available because your administrator will be busy failing over to the standby database. Okay, but this is now every companies nowadays has done automatic failovers. If anything happens to the primary database, it will fall down automatically, fail over to your secondary database. And the failback, actually we never do automatic the failback, because that should be always manual, because we have to do lots of other checkpoints will be there. If you have real-time works in the company organizations and handle this kind of database failure and issues, you'll be seeing the database fallback will never be automated. It should be always manual. It's good to keep manual, because you have to make sure if when you are failing back from secondary to primary, the primary
Primary
uh,
is working
functionality
fine.
and working fine. Okay, and the
Uh,
synchronization is happening perfectly. Everything after checking up, you have to fail back. So let's see one. Here the multi-AZ diagram, and what happens. Here is a load balancer, which is that request comes through the load balancer, and here your applications will be there. Okay, and your our applications is here in the EC2 instances. Suppose I have created. So these applications is connected to the database. One primary database is on our, suppose AP South 1A, one availability zone, and this is what happen is writing the data to the primary database. Okay, so what happens, this database and the automatic synchronization happens to the secondary database. Okay, in case of any failures happen, in case of any disaster happen, this database will be linked to your secondary data, because that will fail over automatically to south 1B, another availability zone. Okay, so this is the simple diagram, and anyway, it's not required to be visualized, because it's straightforward and it's very simple. One is down and the next one will be active. Okay, so let's see what is the read replica. So far we talked about the disaster recovery, how the multiple availability zone and how the primary and secondary works during the disaster. So now we'll see about how we get good performance or better performance in our database, in our RDS database. So what is read replica? Read replicas allow you to have a read-only copy of your production database. It will have only read-only copy. Okay, this is achieved by using asynchronous replication from primary RDS instance to the read replica. We use read replica primarily for very read heavy database workload. I'll show you in the next diagram how this read replica helps us to faster the performance of our request of our database input and outputs. Okay, what the options and what are the features available here? Read replica used for scaling, not for disaster. Remember, this is actually a question either in interview or else in your solution architect examination. When you are going to write, these questions will come and you have to be careful. So we don't use read replica for disaster recovery. It is being used for scaling, like your performance scaling, and must have automatic backup turned on in order to deploy a read replica. Just remember this point, okay, because we are going to use in our lab exercise. Okay, must have automatic backup turned on in order to deploy a read replica. We can have up to 5 read replica copies in any database. In one primary database, we can create up to 5 read replicas. Each read replica will have its own DNS point. So the primary database will have one DNS point, is its own DNS point and endpoint, and the read replica also will have its own endpoint. I'll show you how it is look like. Okay. So we can have read replicas in multiple availability zone also. We can create read replica of multi-AZ source databases. We can have read replica in a second region. I'll show you how we can put all this in a second region and access it. Okay. Let me show you the diagram, simple diagram. And this diagram I got it from the Amazon website, where you can see it here. It's very simple and very self-explanatory. If you see it here, the clients are connecting to the primary database, that is for availability zone 1, available in this availability zone, Amazon RDS DB instance, which is our primary database. In this primary database, that when you create the read replica, it will be automatically happens. The replications will be asynchronous replications, will be happening from the primary database to the read replica. So the clients, the other clients, they don't have to connect to the primary database to get or fetch the records. What they can do, we can redirect our clients to connect to the read replica, because whatever the clients is writing to this um, availability zone, means writing to these DB instances, everything will be automatically available here. So we can give, or we can write our code to only write to the primary database, and read can be happen from multiple other read replicas. So that it will, what will happen, we can faster our performance, DB read performance. Okay, we can get data very quickly, very fast while fetching the data from the database. Okay, so we cannot write into the read replica. It will be only read performance will be happened.
Okay, so Ranjit, client means the user actually.
Yeah, client means the user, the end user. Like
User. So they cannot write to the read replica.
no,
So
read
they can
replica
write to only.
primary database.
Hmm. Mhm. So what is the difference between that our the previous slide whatever you showed, no? So database 1 to database 2, that backup actually,
This
and a
one,
read replica actually. What is this one, and
this,
1B here, and here the replica part actually.
yeah.
What is the difference?
Okay, so here what we learned about the failover, right? If the database goes down, we can both write and read to our standby or secondary database. Okay, that is synchronous. That is synchronous writing, right? That will be, the process is synchronous, right? You have to both write and read from the secondary database. If it is failed, okay, you can both write and read from this database. But what about this? You can have only write to your primary database can only write or replicate the data to the read only or read replicas, but the clients like we cannot write to the read replicas. So here, so you will be thinking like don't get confused about seeing only one database. Here also what we say, we can have multi availability zone. Here we can create multiple read replicas. In case this read replica goes down, we'll have another read replica to serve the purpose, the secondary read replica. Or the primary database goes down, we'll have another secondary database to create the asynchronous replication with the read replica. Okay, this is just a single standalone application in this picture. I have got it, but we'll have also multiple read replicas been created in multiple availability zone as well as multiple regions also.
Okay, okay. So what is the benefit actually? So user will get the data is quicker. So that is the only benefit or
It's the
anything else?
only benefit for faster
Uh-huh.
performance, for better and
Access.
faster performance, faster access. Just real-time example, think about our Netflix, or think about our Amazon e-commerce site. So whenever there is an offer in Christmas, let's talk about in the Christmas. The Christmas, while we're connecting and fetching the, because most of the guys in the world will be celebrating it when they're trying to purchase something. So what happened? The searching of data, okay, the searching of data will be more, right, on those particular times. So if we connect our applications to only one database, so at a time we'll get billions of hit into the database, so that the performance definitely will degrade, because the database capacity will not be there to handle the request for searching the query, because there are billions of queries will come, how one database can handle. To overcome this problem, we can create different read replicas, okay, so that what happens, the request can be redirected to the read replicas instead of to the primary database. So what happens, suppose 100 request comes, suppose we have 3 read replicas, so it will be go like 30 30 30, and 10 will go to suppose primary. So these ways our we can retrieve the data faster, so the performance, data DB performance will be very fast.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and
Okay.
that's why I always, from the starting I always I told you, right, don't get confused about this multi availability zone and read replica. Multi availability zone is for your disaster recovery, and read replica is for your heavy database workload for good performance. Okay, for better performance we
Uh-huh.
are going to use read replica. Remember all these points. So
Uh,
that's why it says,
so
yeah,
sorry, Ranjit, I interrupted.
no
So
problem.
then, so in EC2, so
Mhm.
like we some native we created, na, so I just forgot that term actually. So there are some it will directly access there. So it's the same equivalent to here also, no? Same thing.
uh, uh,
We
Means I think Kapana, your question is we are using some that load balancer. If a
no, no,
server
not
is
load
down,
balancer. No, 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 not
what
load
you're talking
balancer
about,
or no, not uh,
auto scaling.
auto scaling. It's another one actually. The
yes.
our so Ranjit, you showed one diagram, no? So the, some data whichever you are using very frequent,
Mm-hmm.
so it will be get stored here. So
Acha, acha. Uh,
that is
you're talking about edge locations that
yes, look,
cloud.
correct, correct. Yes, sorry.
Uh,
Cloud.
that is totally different. That is totally different. That's not related to that. So that's CloudFront. Actually, what happens? It is actually a kind of cache technology, right? It's edge location.
Mm-hmm.
The data's wave content. Wave content here is your image, your data, your documents, your videos, everything will be cached into your nearest location, edge location. And when you get the content next time, it will be faster because it will be near to you and you can get it. So that was the latency, that was the frequency or distance issue, because we are connecting from the long distance data. However, we can get it now from the nearest edge location. That way we can make our datas in the sense the content, wave content, faster. But here we're talking about our database datas. Okay. we are talking about the database. How we can make our database faster by using the read replicas.
So there are
Okay.
three things. Edge location we are using to retrieve the data quickly from one zone to means if there are multiple region data is available through edge location, we can retrieve the data. But my question is, load balancer we are using, if one server, one application is down, then we will use the load balancer. It will redirect to another application when the application is
Overloaded.
suppose
Overloaded.
overloaded. Yes, but here read replica we are using for database purpose only.
Yes.
So what is the difference
Database.
between these two? Yes.
Yeah. So think about, so difference here. The first difference is whatever we are using that load balancer and the auto scaling or load balancer to fail over or to redirect the traffic one availability zone or one availability EC2 instances. That is your related to your web application, web front end, or your application. Okay, your server application server. Okay. Similarly, in your this database, in this picture, whatever I have created here, you have a we have a load balancer which is sending the request to multiple instances. Also, we can keep this load balancer in our databases also to redirect the request based on the load. First thing, tell me, can we connect the load balancer directly to our database? Is it good idea to connect directly load balance and allow the user to connect our database? No, right?
No, not sure.
No, it's not, because our database is
It's
always in
not
private area, right? It's always in private region. It is always,
But we can connect it a load balancer to our database.
we can connect, but not directly. Then how we'll connect?
Okay.
Through the other
through EC2,
server.
that API.
Exactly, through that
Uh,
API, through the EC2
uh,
servers. So that EC2
uh,
servers will redirect the request to the different servers available,
databases.
and that servers will connect to the database behind. But see, suppose we have 100 servers, 100 application servers. That does not mean that we'll also will keep 100 databases. We can have one or two databases or three databases which can make the purpose, right? Which we can handle the request. So that application server or UI, your front end is entirely different than your backend or databases. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
yeah,
that is clear only, Ranjit. Yeah, yeah. Because that is web page or something that is for OS level. Here it is database. It's handled by fully controlled by Amazon.
it's fully controlled by Amazon. Also, you have to do small initial setups while creating the database and doing
Uh-huh.
multi availability and read replicas. That's up to you how you set up it. Once you do
How do you
the
set up?
setup, yeah, the next will be handled by your Amazon.
AWS. Yeah, yeah. So like some production server, your production database you are selecting.
Yeah,
So there multi-age you can enable so that this way, correct?
exactly. So you just have to enable the
Uh-huh.
multi-AZ, and what will happen? The
Uh,
failover, everything will be taken care by Amazon. You don't have to wait for that. If your production goes down, it will automatically will fail over.
it
You
will not
don't have
have.
to, yeah, you
Uh-huh.
don't have to wait and do it for that. Amazon will be taken care of everything. In case
Uh-huh.
that did not work, so AWS will be responsible for that. So you can put penalty or charge on the AWS why this did not work,
Yeah, yeah.
because you are going to get some you are going to get some
We
loss.
are paying something, so
You
in
are
return we should
paying,
get. Yeah, yeah.
should get it also. If you are handling multiple applications and multiple clients, customer will get affected and you'll get a huge loss in your business. So who will pay for that? Because Amazon AWS
Yeah.
has a commitment in the agreement. They will commit, like they will provide
Uh-huh.
99% 9 availability.
Availability.
For that
Correct.
only they are paying for that.
So, yes. Hello.
Yeah, Bablu.
Yeah. So suppose we have an application. Suppose Netflix or Amazon Prime one application is there. So suppose that application is down.
Mhm.
Some in newer time, some 1 million user just try to open that application. So in that time, what is the best practice to use this? Will use that load balancer or that replica will use?
See, the load balancer definitely will be there. So don't see. You are, I think, comparing between load balancer and grid replica. Think these are two different, and you need these two different things also put together in your project. You need load balancer as well as you need grid replica. If you are a big organization and you are dealing with huge data and dealing with million, billion, or trillion data, you have to need both of them. You need a load balancer as well as you need read replica for your database. This replica concept is only for database. Load balancer is for your application servers. So just think about these two are both different entities.
Different, correct.
You have to need both of them. Single will not. If you don't suppose,
Yes.
it's up to you. As a solution architect, you have to decide what is your latency, how quickly you need the data. Is it really required read replica to put it? Because read replicas you have to pay for those servers, read replica servers, read replica instances, right? So you have to think about that. Do you really need these read replicas or not? If you don't need, remove them. Don't no need to set up. If only you can set up the load balancer, which is only balance your requests, and you should have capable to serve those requests from your backend. The data can be quicker. If you feel the data are getting slower now because we are getting more response through the load balancer or through the other requester and more customer engages, and you need to good better performance so that you can activate read replica.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and that means suppose that a Netflix application is down. Means when we are trying to open Netflix, actually it is crash or it is hang or slow. Then that time is the best practice to use that load balancer. If
Yes,
when database application is open and we are not able to watch some movies in the Netflix, that time we'll go for the read replica. Is the best practice to use the read replica.
read replica for faster performance, for faster retrieval of
Faster.
the data. Okay.
Yes. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Ranjit, I have another query here.
Yeah.
I mean, in case if data, if application is down, I mean, it is on cloud only. So even if moving from one space to another space, still it's going to be down only. In that case, how Netflix will work?
Okay. No. Okay. Suppose. Sorry, I did not get your question, Rajesh. Can you please tell me again?
It, just before someone has asked this question, now what will you do if Netflix is down? I mean, anyway, they'll be hosting on cloud only. If cloud is, they, for example, if they're hosting it on Amazon,
Mhm.
if that is down, then where will they host? I mean, the entire Amazon cloud itself is down. In that case, even having this
That
replica setup doesn't make any sense, right?
no, no, no. If the entire yeah, that nobody can help us. If the entire Amazon,
Nobody can help.
if the entire
Okay.
Amazon regions goes down, suppose let me tell you one simple scenario. Suppose Netflix has put their servers in regions. Three region. As we know, each region has multiple availability zone. Okay, so suppose in three region they have kept their data center. Suppose in case by any thing happened and both all the regions, all the availability zone goes down, so there will be Netflix itself will not be there. So how we can connect? Nobody can connect. Okay, if any particular region goes down and you can still have available of another regions and more availability zone, you can still connect their servers. If your entire AWS region down, then nobody can help until unless they keep in another service provider, either Azure or Google Cloud. Okay.
Yeah, got it, Ranjit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next we'll see about so we clearly understood about the availability zone. I understand you'll feel some thing to uh, recollect it means what do you say to identify between this availability zone, multi availability zone and red replica. But I would say just go through this and do some little bit practice and go through the recorded session and these videos, and you'll find it out because the more you read and more you just go through these practices and you'll try to understand. Okay, then you have to like
Yeah, that is correct.
yeah, so the terms whatever you are using, everything will be useful and everything you are going to use and face in your interviews. So next we'll talk about the elastic acid. So let me do, and I don't want to spend all this. Okay, you will be over exhausted if I go through all these slides, what elastic acid and all. So what I'll do, let me go with our lab exercise. Okay, and once we finish the lab exercise, we'll see if there is some time, then we'll go with elastic acid, and there are a few other terms we are going to cover. Okay, those things we'll see, the migrations, database migrations, everything we'll talk about. So if I put together everything, again you guys are also in a dilemma about this multi availability zone and red replica. You are not able to focus on that. So if I cover all these, then it will be again burden on you, right, on your mind. So let's stop here this part and let's move on to the lab class. Okay, let me connect to the lab class, and what you have to do, you have to just connect to our EC2 instance and let make sure that our server is running. Okay, if you go RDS, see our my database is still running since yesterday. It is running. So the database is running now. Let me quickly go to the EC2 instance and create start the EC2 instance which we had created, and then try to do the project whatever we had left yesterday. Okay,
The three endpoint will connect, then we'll load.
so suppose this RDS, this was the application was installed on this server. Let me quickly start it. Okay, so if you see this database, right, database, we if you click it here and we'll find it out like we have the endpoint. As I told in the last class, we have to connect using this endpoint alone to our program or API or any kind of applications you are using. You have to pass this in the endpoint. So last class Bablu was asking whether we can connect from the Windows machine or we can install any third party tool to connect the database using either it is could be Toad or it could be MySQL developer or anything through which we can provide this endpoint and we can connect. So let's see, today also we'll try to get one Windows machine, try to install some application, and from there I will see how we can connect this one. Let me first complete the multi availability zone and replica things, and then we'll move there. So yeah, my server is now running, my application server. This is my application server. Okay, and if I get the public IP, so get the public IP, we'll go here and paste it. So we'll see the details, right? So if I click it here, you can find it is connecting to the database and fetching the records. It's connecting to the database and fetching the records. Now, how it is happening? So tomorrow, suppose let me delete this. So now if I just go to the application folder, that is where www HTML. In this folder, I have these HP files, right? PHP files. Let me delete the table itself first. So I have written a small program to delete the table. So hit enter. Now the table user is deleted. Let me just go back to the applications. If I show it here, I don't have any data is available because the tables are deleted and
Deleted.
empty. So I can create a table now. Just create. Table is created. So in behind the screen, if you see it here, create table. This create table, I have used the endpoint. In my last video, if you see, I had missed this semicolon. Okay, so let me remove this semicolon. I'll show you. If I remove this semicolon, it will throw the similar error like yesterday.
PHP then need a semicolon at the end
Yes.
for all lines.
Hmm. So let me recreate the issue. So table is created now, right? So when I try to insert the data, okay, it will work because I have only used this in create table, right? So if I do this, see the same error I got it. Is currently unable to handle and HTTP error 500. Okay, so let me fix that one. I added semicolon. Okay, if I go create, see it says error creating table because the table is already exist. In the last time we created the table, right? Now let me okay, so table is created. We don't have any data, it is blank. If I go and insert some data, so table is now new record created, and if I show it here, only one Rakesh is added here. If I want to add more data here, so simply you have to just use, and you would have written your application similarly to insert the record. So here suppose I'm going to insert, instead of Rakesh I'm going to use Ranjit or something. Okay, save it, and if I just go and hit insert record, it will add new more record into the database. Okay, now so see we have now two. So you now learn how to use your endpoint in your program. Suppose you are a developer and you are going to write some program, then you have to write into your programs as the endpoint the server. This is your server name. And guys, if your database is in same server where your application is running, what would be your server name? Can you tell me? If you're not using the RDS DB instances, because RDS DB instance definitely will be a different server. If you're locally installing MySQL or any Oracle database in your EC2 instances, and your application also in the same instances, what will be the server?
Okay. It is local host or?
Yes, it will be local
Okay.
host.
Because same way we used to write it.
Exactly. So you
Okay.
don't have to put your server name over here. Only if you are using your application in one EC2 and your MySQL you have installed another EC2, then you can put that EC2 IP address into this server to get the data. Okay. Now let's move on, and okay, so you guys clearly understood what was the problem and how we fixed it. Now quickly let's move on to our EC2 instance, and we'll see about at DB instances, and we'll see about how we can activate this multi availability zone. Okay, so if I go to our dashboard and go to your DB instances, and here in the DB instances you can see here one modify option is there, right? Modify. What we can do, select the database, select modify, and we are going to modify the DB instances. What is happening? Okay, so now if you see here the DB instance now, if you want to give a new password, you can go ahead and give the password, but I'm not going to give the password here. So what I'm going to change here, I'm going to add this, see, MultiAZ deployment. Create a standby instance recommended for production use. So it is not available because we don't have production setups. So what I can do here, I can just go ahead and select for our where is the production one? Okay, anyway, I selected it. It's selected already. Okay, Fine. So when I select multi-availability deployment, it will be automatically recommended for production usage. But we can use for development whatever you want. You can do the setups. So now we don't have to do any changes. Only we have to select this multi-AZ deployment. Once you do it, just go ahead. Don't do anything else. And then this back of things, everything will see it later. Just go ahead and continue. So it gives some error, some warning, potential performance impact. You may experience a significant performance impact when converting this database instance to multi-AZ. Okay, because we are modifying the database, obviously there will be a performance issue while accessing the data. So what it has options, scheduling the modifications. If you see this alert, right, whether you want to do in a maintenance window, whether in the weekend, because in the weekend if there is a maintenance going on, database will be down, and then we can do the maintenance activity. But this maintenance activity I want it immediately. I just click on apply immediately and modify the DB instance. So if you see it here, it says status available, but if you refresh it here, it will be saying modifying. See, it is modifying. And
Okay.
let's go and access this. Okay, it is that AWS is still managing the modification. We don't see any slowness or don't see any degradation
Slowness.
because that handled by the AWS. Okay, whatever commitment they provide, they make it. So we don't see any, because see, still it is modifying. The database is still modifying, and they're still able to manage it. The alert was maybe get a degradation. I mean, they have given maybe, but we are not getting anything. Maybe we don't have any data. It's a very smallest and only 1 KBs of data available. That's why it is this.
And we could not.
Otherwise,
So we can insert, delete also everything. Really.
no, that's fine. That's fine. No issues. Let it be there. Um,
Mhm.
so it will just take some time. Just hold on. Modifying is still going on. Okay. So okay guys, maybe again Monday we'll also see what are the things we have. Let me just show you this elastic assay, DB migration.
Tuesday.
Sorry, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. The elastic assay, DB migrations. These are the important topics. Okay, just we'll go this elastic assay and everything theoretical, and the database migrations also will cannot perform it, but I'll show you how we can do it. This database migrations, and there are lots of concepts to understand this database migration, and we'll see how these migrations happened and what are the things you have to keep in your mind while performing the migrations. Okay. Anyway, AWS and all the cloud service provider, they provide the various tools to convert your data and schemas based on your database you are using. So it's easy to use, but you need to understand the concept, what this migration, and what are the points to keep in your mind. Okay, let it modify. If you are, let me talk about this read replica, and this read replica, right? If you select it and if you go here action, you can see here create read replica option is there, but it is grayed out, right? It's disabled. We don't have any read replica options available. Why? Can anybody tell, right, why it is grayed out?
I think once our database will be ready, then it will be activated.
Yes, but even though it is ready, it will not activate. The thing is, we don't have any backup created. We have not
Okay.
selected any backups. Have we created any backups? We have not created any backups. We have not created any snapshots, because read replicas is getting from the snapshot your primary database. Okay, so the snapshots is not available. That's why it is showing create read replica is disabled. So once it is active and once we set up for this multi availability zone, and then we'll go with this read replica creation, and I'll show you how we can do it. And anyway, this multi-availability zone, we don't have to do anything. Only the thing is, we have to select that options and leave it. Save that option. As I told, AWS will take care the failover automatically. You don't have to do anything. But I'll show you. I'll try to reboot the server or delete this, terminate the primary database, and then we'll see, and it will show an option to fail over manually. Okay, I'll show you how it can be done. System refresh. Okay, okay. After modifying, configuring enhanced monitoring. Okay, so it's almost done. So let it, hopefully it will complete in another minutes. Okay, our database is now available. Okay, now let me
Available.
just go through this, and what I can do, select the database and try to reboot it. Okay, see, if I'm going to try to reboot it, it will ask me, see, reboot with failover. See, this option showed me reboot with failover. If we do not have this multi-available, then automatically it will reboot it. So when reboot means your database will go down, right? So here it gives an option of rebooting, because if we did it manually reboot, that's why it's giving an option whether you want to failover. Okay. If it is automatically rebooted due to some issues, what will be, or the failover will happen automatically. You don't have to do it manually. Okay, so this is what
AWS should do.
AWS will take care of this automatic failover. Now you understood how you set up this multi-availability zone and how multi-availability failover, multi-availability thing, and how the failovers can be achieved. Okay, now let's move on to the good for better performance and database load performance. Okay, how we can do it. Now if we go and select, see, the database is available, right? Even though if we go here, the read replica is still grayed out, still not available. So what we can do now, just select it again, modify, and you can see it here. There will be one option called so we standby instances are ready. Okay, so availability now. Now we'll have one option called where is that? Okay, so the backup, automatic backup was enabled, but here backup retention period was 0. So let me select as the maximum of 35 days. Okay, okay, so suppose 35 days. Now I selected. Here the select windows I have given 1753 after 5 hours. Okay, let it be there. And okay, DB instance maintenance window. Okay, enable protection, that's fine. So once I select this retention period, just go ahead and continue. Okay, I can apply immediately, or you can, if you want to do in weekend maintenance schedule, you can do it, or you can apply, select apply. I'll go with apply. Okay. Apply immediately, then modify DB instance. So again, it will take some similar time to, not similar time, because that time it was creating, but this time I don't think so. It will take some.
It will be quicker.
And while creating this read replica, right, we can select, we'll have options to select and create in different region itself. Suppose our DB instance in Mumbai region we created, right? DB instance is Mumbai region. If you want to put this read replica in Singapore region or any Northern America or Northern Virginia or wherever you want to put, you can select and put it in. I'll show you how we can do it. Again, we have to wait for a few minutes, I think. So this is one of your administration task. Administrator will do all this while creating, obviously, the cloud AWS administrator. While creating the DB instances, you have to, based on the requirement, initially itself, he has to create. But I showed you in a different way. Either while creating the instance itself, you should select the based on a requirement. So think about one solution architect perspective, or based on the requirement, think about the AWS architect, AWS administrator. Based on the requirement, what he will do, he will just create the DB instances. If the requirement is there for multi-AZ to active, he will active it or leave it, or if there is any backup to be taken for detention period 35 days or 10 days or 20 days, then he has to select it and then create the snapshots. Everything he has to do initially. If the initial requirement is only to create the DB instance without this feature, and you need this feature in future, what you can do, you can just go ahead and modify the DB instances. That way you can do it. Okay,
How we did it here.
how we did it here, so we can do in that.
Hmm.
Okay, it's now available. We can see it here. Our instance
Uh-huh.
is now available. Just go here, and if I select it here, see, we can see our create read replica is now active. Okay, what we can
Yes,
do
yes.
now is hit this create read replica, and you can see here a create read replica DB instance. You are, what it says, you are creating a replica DB instance from a source DB instance. This new DB instance will have the source DB instance, DB security groups, and DB parameters. Everything will be copied, replicate from the source DB instance. Only the DB identifier will be different. So what is the DB identifier? That is the database name. Okay, that is the instance name, not database name, instance name. Database name also will be same, only the instance name will be different. So here you can see the specifications are same. So if you want to, for read replica, see, we can either select for multi availability zone also. For read replica also we can create MultiAZ deployment, but I don't want for read replica to create, let it be there by no. Let's everything default. So go down, so publicly accessible, no. Okay, and everything default. So here source is, we have only one source database, right? Primary database.
So
Source database,
yeah, yeah.
select it, and here you have to give the read replica database name. Suppose I give the same name with read replica debug class read replica. Okay, now everything should be same, let it be there. Okay, now create read replica. Remember, as it is mentioned in this read replica class, theoretical classes, what we saw, the endpoint for read replica will be also different, because we gave a different DB identifier. That will be totally different places it will be stored. Okay, now let me refresh it. See, we can see our one more replica created, one more database instances created here, and here you can see here the role, it is primary. This is the primary database, and this is your replica database. Identify easily your replica database, and it's creating. So availability zone not yet set. Once it is created, the availability zone it will put it, and the size T2 micro, it will just it copied from the source instances, primary instances, and everything else will be here. Here multi availability zone for MultiAZ for primary database is selected, yes, and for replica set it is no. You can still select, create the MultiAZ, activate the MultiAZ for replica also. So just wait for a few minutes.
So Ranjit, is it creating on the same availability zone or that replica?
Replica will, it will be created in the same availability zone, because see, this replica will be for faster performance, not for disaster recovery. So if you are
Not disaster, okay.
not for disaster recovery, suppose if you are creating for MultiAZ, yes, then it will create in another availability zone. Okay, the replicas will be created, another replica will be created in the that will be your standby. That will be your standby replicas. Okay, read replica. So here also we cannot see our standby databases. Can we see our standby database? No, that will be handled by AWS itself. If anything happens to the primary databases, it will be automatically fail over your standby databases internally. Okay, in the backend we don't have to see the databases. Okay, but here it will see it will be failed over. So if you go and okay, you can see it here, it is modifying also. As it is creating the replicas, it is modifying the primary database as well.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so just wait for a few minutes
Because
again.
it's fetching data from there,
Yes,
so maybe that is the
but our database is still there. It's not. Okay, there is no issues. It's still
no downtime.
no downtime. That's very good, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you know the proper use of AWS, no, so everything you can do actually.
Exactly.
Means
So,
how best you can use, how the advanced features you can use, no. So there will be no downtime. There is no means lacking or speed. All this, no. So everything will be taken care.
so yeah,
It's a means it's a company organization. You can open your organization here. No need to go anywhere.
that's exactly correct
Uh,
what Pablo said. You can do whatever, you can create your own infrastructure. That's the initial beginning cloud
inflation.
introduction I told you, right? What is cloud is
Uh,
actually when virtual infrastructure is provided by some other company, right? Other service provider. You can create your own infrastructure instead of creating physically on premises, going to create a building and then set up all networks, cables, everything. You can go instead, you can come here and get all your required infrastructure, and you can set up your company online. No need for any. So nowadays you will not believe, right?
uh,
After this pandemic, many companies, as I already have told you once, I think many companies, they are not having a office, actually an office. They don't have an office, they don't have a sitting place. They are everyone working from home, and all the infrastructure they're
uh,
getting
uh,
renting from the cloud service provider, either
Cloud service. You told like new requirements, why it is coming.
yes.
You
So
told.
you don't have.
We need that type of company.
Yeah. That is
One.
really good. Yeah, that is really good actually. So in that type of
Yes.
company, if you're joining, you'll learn like anything. You'll be master if you're really using the
Things.
system properly, and you can do the setups and all. So that's really good. Okay, anyway, we know how to create the read replicas and how we can do it. There is not much read replica we can do the setups now, because we don't have applications endpoint to use, but I'll just show you what the application endpoint looks like and what else you can do it. Suppose let's it created. If you select it here and go actions, here you can see one option called promote. Okay, option called promote. It is not active now because the replica set itself, the read replica is not created yet. That's why it's not
In progress.
it's not active. Once it is done, you can see the promote here. You can just click on the promote and it will be promoted this read replica to use by the applications. So we are not going to use this promote option, but I'm just showing you how you can do it. Just click on this promote and it will give you the promote options to read replica. Let that create. I'll show you again the details about that. Let me go through this, and I think we have also endpoint. No, nothing is created. Still it is going to the. Okay, so okay, you can see here both DevOps class, like the primary database as well as the read replica, are in the same availability zone. And here the
John.
read replica source is given DevOps class. If you have multiple DB instances, if you have 2-3 instances, while creating the read replica, you have to select the appropriate instance for your read replica to create. Okay, so let's it. Why it's taking too much time?
Ranjit, this can be automated also, no?
This creations and everything, right? Database, yes,
Hmm.
yes, that has to be automated. We'll see in our classes how we
Uh,
can automate these things. We can automate also this DB instance
uh,
creation, right? Based on your requirement. Suppose if you have
uh,
immediate requirement, then you can do it. Create the automations, everything. So whatever infrastructure we are doing it provisioning manually, everything can be automated either using AWS CLI in the shell script, or you can use
Sheila,
Terraform tools and other tools. Um,
AWS Lambda through we can do it.
lambda serverless, that serverless technique, right? Serverless functions. Yes, we can using that. See,
That is different.
that is different. That is totally different. And AWS also provides one AWS cloud formation. Okay, if I go here and see, they provides one service called cloud formation. One second, formation cloud formation. Okay, here. So just go to cloud formation, and whatever automations we are doing, whatever the things we are doing through console, everything you can do through cloud formations. Okay, this is your AWS native automation tool, native ISC tool, infrastructure automation tool. Okay, so there are
What language will use here to automate?
this cloud formation language, that it has a separate no there is no actually language to use, but it has actually the tools,
template.
templates. You have to use the templates,
Templates. Okay,
uh, then you can just
got it.
create it.
And it's a chargeable, Ranjit.
Yeah, it's chargeable. You have to pay for this. It's not free. You have to pay for this. And anyway, the similar tool we are going to use, that is called Terraform, right? Terraform, you guys would have heard about that, how to use the Terraform and all. See, in the market, while learning the DevOps, right? We have not yet come to the DevOps actually yet. So while in the DevOps, actually, we have to choose based on the tools, based on your requirement, which tool you need to use. There will be multiple similar tools available in the market, like your Cloud Formation, Terraform, Ansible. Those actually being used for ISC, like for infrastructure automations. Okay, infrastructure ICA, or infrastructure cloud and automation, or you can use those tools for different purposes. For Ansible is for different, for Terraform is for different, and AWS CloudForm. So that is a difference actually. For if you are using AWS cloud, you have to only do automations for AWS. But if you're learning other tools like Terraforms, what you can do, you can do automations for any cloud, any cloud provider, any service provider, you can do the automations. Anyway, in our DevOps class, while we'll run that Terraform, I'll show you those details, how you can use multi-providers, multi-cloud providers plugins, and how you can automate it. So that is the difference, because people are not using this cloud formation frequently, because they're learning Terraform to do the same automations what cloud formation does.
Okay.
Yeah, so just let,
Here, there no binding.
yeah, there's no binding.
Here it is binding.
And here you can see it here now, the read replica is now available. Okay, so what we can do here, simply let me first go here and select and go here, action, maintenance, next window. Okay, fine. Maybe this promotion is not happening much here. I need to check about that. So leave it. Let me show you about your endpoint. Anyway, we are not going to use this read replica. I'll show you the endpoint. See here the endpoint of the read replica. So when we are passing out this information endpoint to our applications, suppose our application only to read from the database, so we can just go and connect to this endpoint. So if you go this and check for the other endpoints, it comes as DevOps plus read replica starts with, and if you go that other one, it will be different. The primary one will be different. It comes only DevOps class and the replica name. So here you can see these are the difference between that. And if you go here and check the configuration item, and if you see it here, it has the versions and everything. You can find it over here, complete detail, the resource DB, resource ID, creation time, everything, and MultiAZ, yes, it is available. And the secondary zone, see, it is in different availability zone. The secondary, so we have select MultiAZ, yes, so it has a secondary database in the this availability zone. Okay, and our primary database in, see, this primary is in 1B and secondary is in 1A. If one B
1A.
down, then it will be fail over to
The 1A.
1A. Okay, so
Mhm.
clear now. You see how it is works. Similarly, if you go for our read replica, will not have the if you go to the configurations section, and will not have the multi-AZ on, and we don't have any secondary shown available. Okay, so you can just go through, and a task for you to go create DB instances and try to play around it, and copy. I'll just give you, if you want this PHP files, I'll give you, or else you'll try to okay. So Bablu, for you, one task, or for everyone task, in your Windows machine,
Yes.
try to install any kind of like Toad or any kind of database front-end tool, and through that just provide the endpoint, create the DB instance in AWS, and try to just connect from your database. Okay, try to install one Toad applications, put the endpoint as your server name, and remember the port you have to give as 3306. That is the default port.
Port number.
Yeah, the port number.
Port number
Without the port,
3306.
it will not connect. Okay, so you have to put the port number
Correct.
3306. Okay, guys. So
So
that's all.
Ranjit, application is a Toad application, no?
Any application,
Any
Toad application, or MySQL developer, or SQL server, or any applications, or PHP admin, MyAdmin, or anything which uses server details to connect the database. Okay, before moving on, let me just try to show you how to delete these machines. Okay, because we don't have to keep it, because otherwise I have to pay more for that. Just select it and go ahead and delete your. So for delete, you have to just give confirmation as delete me, and then delete. The read replicas will be deleted now, and similarly you have to delete for the DB instance as well. So go ahead and delete. Retain automated backup, we don't need. Create final snapshot, we don't need. Yes, I acknowledge. If you want to retain your automated backup, it gives option to retain your automated backup. Okay, but I don't want to retain it. Everything I know. Now just confirm, simply delete me. I acknowledge. Okay, then also delete. Both. So this way you can delete it, and let me go to the EC2 instance. I have to clear it out, or else it will be 4 instances created. So unnecessary, I have to pay for that. Anyway, anyway set. Okay, I don't need this database connection anyway. For tomorrow's next class, I think we have. Do we need this? Anyway, we can create it again, no problem. So let me terminate it.
Yeah, well, create quickly.
Okay, so guys, that's all. Maybe we'll see you on Tuesday. Okay, if you have any doubt, just do practice. Let me just let's come with any doubt or anything in the class on Tuesday, and try to install and try to practice in your Windows machines. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, guys. Chalo, happy weekend. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.